Okay, so you're here. You want to dive deep into some really cool stuff and cut through all the noise and, get to the real meat of things.
That's exactly what we're doing here, right? This deep dive is your shortcut to knowledge, basically.
I love that. Shortcut to knowledge. I like that a lot. And today we are tackling some ancient wisdom, some seriously old school advice.
Timeless wisdom, some might say, and for good reason. We're diving into George S. Clason's The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah, a classic, alongside some really interesting modern takes on those principles that honestly are still so relevant today.
Right, we've got those core stories from the book. The 7 cures for a lean purse, the 5 laws of gold, the foundation, really. Plus, we got some contemporary analysis to see how it all fits into, like, our world now.
Exactly. Our mission, if you will, is to extract those golden nuggets of financial wisdom that you can actually use, those aha moments, without overwhelming you with too much, dusty old details.
Now, picture this. You think of Babylon, this city of insane wealth and luxury. You'd imagine it like nestled in a land just bursting with resources,
That's
right?
for sure.
But get this. Babylon was smack dab in the middle of a dry, flat valley. No forests, no mines, not even reliable rain.
Wait, really? That's wild. So they built all that on, what, sheer willpower?
Basically, their wealth was completely man-made, which speaks volumes about their ingenuity and I think offers a really powerful parallel for us today.
I like that, a blueprint for how we can build our own success. So let's talk history for a sec. Babylon, it wasn't just rich, it was the benchmark for wealth.
Right, absolutely. It was the wealthiest city in the ancient world, and their success wasn't some fluke. It was directly tied to their understanding and application of sound financial principles.
And what blows my mind is how this knowledge has survived. They didn't have paper back then. They carved their wisdom onto, like, clay tablets.
Those clay tablets, they're more than just boring accounting records. They're like little windows into their lives.
Oh, totally. Like, imagine finding a clay tablet that's basically a grocery list from, like, 2000 BC. That's what we're dealing with here.
Exactly. We have records of property deals, business agreements, even, like you said, everyday transactions. One
Hmm.
source even mentioned a tablet that was essentially a receipt for a cow being traded for wheat.
Wow, that makes it so real, so human. And while the city itself is now, literally dust, the wisdom on those tablets is still here.
And it's as relevant as ever. The Richest Man in Babylon starts off with a line that hits hard, even today. It says, "Money is governed today by the same laws which controlled it when prosperous men thronged the streets of Babylon 6,000 years ago."
6,000 years. So the book opens with this guy, Bansir, a chariot builder. Super hardworking, but he's struggling. He lives in, like, the richest city ever, but he's got nothing to show for it.
Yeah, it's a familiar feeling for a lot of people, right? You
Yeah.
work hard, but can't seem to get ahead.
Exactly. And he's talking to his buddy, Kobe, who's a musician, and they're both just confused. They're like, why are we stuck like this? Why can't we build wealth?
And I think what really gets to them is that they see all this wealth around them, all these luxuries, and it just feels completely out of reach. They're worried about their kids ending up in the same situation.
Right. It's that feeling of like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, but I'm still stuck. So naturally, they turn to Arkad, the richest man in Babylon. This guy was legendary.
Yeah, he had this reputation for effortless wealth, like it just naturally flowed to him. And Bansir and Kabi, along with some of their other old friends, they're just dying to know his secret.
They remember him from their youth. They all studied and played together. They're like, what's he got that we don't?
And Arkad's answer is really insightful. He says, look, you're not poor because of bad luck. It's because you haven't learned the rules of the game. He straight up dismisses the idea of fate and emphasizes that true wealth is about following specific principles.
I love that. It's empowering, right? It's like your financial destiny is in your hands. And that leads us to Arkad's core teachings, his, what does he call them? The 7 cures for a lean purse.
Cures, I like that, like a prescription for financial health.
Exactly. So cure number 1, start thy purse to fattening. This one's all about saving.
The core message here is so simple, yet so powerful. Arkad puts it this way: for each 10 coins I put in, to spend but 9.
So save at least 10% of everything you earn. That's paying yourself first before anything else. His mentor, Algamish, really drives this home. He says, a part of all you earn is yours to keep. It should be not less than a tenth, no matter how little you earn. It can be as much more as you can afford. Pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. It's a simple concept, but it's revolutionary. You're prioritizing your future self right from the start.
Totally. And the supplementary material we have really emphasizes how crucial this is, especially today when we're bombarded with like spending temptations everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. Cure number 2, control thy expenditures. It's budgeting, basically.
Right. It's about being mindful of where your money's going, knowing the difference between what you need and what you just want.
And this is where things get really interesting. Our COD says, what each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest to the contrary.
Isn't that the truth? Like, our lifestyle just seems to expand to fill whatever income we have.
Exactly. His advice is to write down everything you want to spend money on. Then choose the things you actually need and maybe a few things you want, but make sure it all fits within that, like, 90% of your income budget.
I love that. It forces you to make choices. And the book reminds us that all men are burdened with more desires than they can gratify. It's so true, especially now with advertising everywhere and credit cards so easy to get.
Right. Managing those desires is key. And cure number 3 is where things start to get exciting. Make thy gold multiply. It's about putting your savings to work.
Investment, baby. This is where compounding comes in. Arcad compares his investments to a horde of golden slaves, each one eager to work and earn more.
Such a vivid image, right?
Yeah.
Those golden slaves are working for you, generating more wealth even while you sleep.
Love it. And the story of the farmer who leaves his silver with a moneylender for 50 years and watches it grow like crazy, that's the power of compounding in action.
It's a perfect illustration. It's not about timing the market or getting lucky. It's about consistently investing and letting time work its magic.
Now, cure number 4 is guard thy treasures from loss. It sounds obvious, but so many people get tripped up here.
It's about protecting your hard-earned wealth, avoiding those risky ventures that promise the moon but deliver nothing.
Like those get-rich-quick schemes we see everywhere, right?
Exactly. Arcad shares his own mistake of investing with a brickmaker who claimed to be buying rare jewels, which turned out to be worthless glass. He learned the hard way, and his advice is clear. Study carefully, before parting with thy treasure, each assurance that it may be safely reclaimed, and, crucially, consult the wisdom of those experienced in handling money for profit.
In other words, don't put all your eggs in one basket, and definitely don't trust your brother-in-law who's suddenly a crypto expert. Get advice from people who actually know what they're doing.
Wise words. Now, cure number 5 gets into something that's a big part of the American dream. Make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. It's all about owning your own home.
Yeah, instead of renting forever. Arcad sees this as a way to turn a recurring expense into a valuable asset.
He actually calls it transforming a liability into an asset. He talks about the joy of knowing you own your own place and eventually paying off that mortgage. He says, then will thy heart be glad because thou wilt own in thy own right a valuable property, and thy only cost will be the king's taxes.
So smart. Instead of your money just disappearing every month in rent, it's building towards something you own.
Exactly. Now, cure number 6 is about the future. Ensure a future income. It's thinking about retirement and taking care of your family if something happens to you.
Arcad talks about investing in land or making wise loans, but what really stood out to me was his description of this system where lots of people contribute small amounts regularly, and that money goes to the families of those who pass away. He's basically describing life insurance like thousands of years ago.
It's crazy how ahead of his time he was. But the principle is timeless, right? Plan for the future and protect the people you love.
Absolutely. And the final cure, the one that really ties everything together, is increase thy ability to earn.
This is about continuous learning, developing your skills, finding ways to make more money.
And as you earn more, you can save more, invest more, and achieve your goals faster.
Right, it's a positive feedback loop. So those are the 7 cures. But Arcad doesn't stop there. He lays out what he calls the 5 laws of gold. And these are like the fundamental principles of not just acquiring wealth, but also keeping it and growing it.
Okay, hit me with those laws.
Okay, here we go. Law 1. Gold comes gladly and increasing quantity to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family. Law 2. Gold labors diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field.
Got it. Keep going.
Law 3. Gold clings to the protection of the cautious owner who invests it under the advice of men wise in his handling. Law 4. Gold slips away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not recommended by those skilled in its keep. And finally, Law 5, gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who follows the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment.
Wow. Okay, those are dense, but they really do sum up everything we've talked about.
Right. They highlight those key themes of saving, investing wisely, and seeking expert advice.
And remember Calabob's warning. Gold is reserved for those who know its laws and abide by them.
It's a powerful reminder that wealth isn't random. There are rules to this game.
Absolutely. And then we have the story of Nomasir, who basically learns these laws the hard way.
His story is a classic example of what can happen when you ignore these principles. But the book isn't just about Arkad's wisdom. There are other stories, like the one about Dabasir, the camel trader who was deep in debt but managed to turn his life around.
Dabasir's story really shows that no matter how bad things get, you can find a way out if you're determined.
Exactly. He had this whole system, meticulously recorded on clay tablets, of how he allocated his income. Part of it went to living expenses, part to paying off debt, and part to saving.
And in the supplementary material, there's this modern example of a college professor who used a similar system, the 7-0-20-10 plan. So this ancient wisdom is still relevant.
It really is. And then there's a story of Sharunada and Hadan Gula, which focuses on the value of hard work.
This one's interesting because it contrasts Hadan Gula, who hates the idea of work, with Sharunada, who was the slave but earned his freedom and built a successful life through, well, just plain hard work.
It's a powerful reminder that there's no substitute for effort. Megiddo puts it perfectly when he says, "Work is the best friend I've ever known. It has brought me all the good things I've had."
So after all this talk about Babylonian wisdom, what really sticks with you? What resonates most with your own situation?
For me, it's that emphasis on being intentional with your finances. It's not about luck. It's about making conscious choices and taking control of your future.
I agree. And as Arkad says, wealth isn't just about money. It's about the power it gives you to enjoy life and do the things that matter to you.
Right. And that brings us to our wrap-up. The key takeaways from The Richest Man in Babylon are really about taking ownership of your financial destiny.
It's about saving consistently, controlling your spending, investing wisely, and always looking for ways to increase your earning potential.
And perhaps, as we think about the rise and fall of Babylon, the question we leave you with is this: what are you doing today to build a solid foundation for your financial future, one that can weather any storm?
That's a great question to ponder. And if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, we encourage you to explore The Richest Man in Babylon further, or even delve into some historical accounts of Babylonian life.
There's a wealth of wisdom waiting to be discovered.